Hi, I'm Floor, and welcome to yet another video. Wuthering Waves Patch 2.6 Part 2 is out now, and I want to give my thoughts on it and the patch as a whole. Let's get into it. So, what did I think of Part 2? I liked it. I liked it a lot. However, it continues to highlight a growing issue with Wuthering Waves' storytelling that I will get into later. Part 2's story happens after the end of Part 1, where everyone is celebrating the defeat of the false sovereign. It is here you finally learn what happened to Yuno, if you didn't do any of the side quests like I did at first. We find out that Yuno has disappeared from existence, and no one remembers her. I love this segment of the story a lot because everyone thinks Rover is suffering from an affliction of the Dark Tide, and just imagine Yuno's existence. Even Augusta wasn't convinced that Yuno was a real person, and she spent more time with her than Rover. It's a great premise, and it gets the player uncomfortable and annoyed, and it makes you want to continue the story. While we're searching for Yuno's whereabouts, we also run into Avidius. It seems to me like his arc is coming to a head, but we'll possibly see its logical conclusion in 2.7. His confrontation with his creator, Cristoforo, feels like it's being set up, and something tells me it's not going to end well for him. I do wonder if our gesture of giving the pedal to him or not will become relevant in the future. Probably not, as 2.7's story is probably too far along to make changes like that, but we'll have to see. Let's talk about our journey into chaos to save Yuno's existence. We learn some confusing contradictions from Grandmother Lilybet, who claims that Yuno died 3 years ago, which shouldn't have been possible as she was alive until recently. It's clear that her existence is unraveling, and it has something to do with the battle she participated in 3 years ago. And by retracing the memories and steps, she's able to be made whole again. What I find most fascinating about this segment is how close it resembles the tale of Orpheus and Eurydice. For those who don't know the story of Orpheus and Eurydice, Orpheus was a legendary musician who was loved by even the gods. But shortly after he married Eurydice, she was bitten by a snake and died. Orpheus, overcome with grief, descends into the underworld to bring her back. There, it's Hades and Persephone, who agree to release Eurydice under one condition. Orpheus mustn't look back at her until they reach the surface. Unfortunately, Orpheus looked back, one step too soon, and Eurydice vanished forever. There's some pretty noteworthy parallels between the story and 2.6 Part 2. Chaos represents the underworld here, not necessarily the afterlife, but the boundary between life and death. Rover, obviously, would be Orpheus here. They are loved by everyone, and maybe even the gods. And they're trying to bring Yuno, Eurydice, back to life. Or, in the case of Wuthering Waves, reviving her existence. During the story section, where we have to hold Yuno's hand to anchor her, lest she disappears, is much in the same way that Orpheus mustn't look back at Eurydice. The comparison's in here, though, but you could make an argument that Yuno's father is a stand-in for Hades, as he helps forge the bow that Yuno uses, and he tells us that Yuno may be lost forever if Rover cut down the tree they made from anchoring with. Overall, the journey into chaos, learning of Yuno's backstory and her motivations were executed fantastically, and I really enjoyed getting into her head. The end of the story's climax was great too. Septimon's future can no longer be divined or prophesized. It's now a void of endless possibilities. Now, let's talk about a growing issue I see with Wuthering Waves' storytelling. Will any of what we've done with Yuno matter in the end? Because Wua's storytelling thus far leads me to believe that it won't. Wua is very episodic, where the story updates are very self-contained, with very little following up in later patches. Some of 2.4 followed up into patch 2.5, and not much in 2.5's main story followed up into 2.6. To be fair, we did have some great follow-up with 2.2 into 2.4, as that directly led us to heading to Septimont, chasing after Carathea and discovering more of the Vernodian's corruption. I don't know. I just feel like everything we experience with Yuno won't matter in the finale. I don't see how anything we did with her will help our chances in the story finale. Unless Yuno herself makes an appearance and becomes instrumental to saving the day or getting something done. If that happens, then I guess my worries are for nothing. We'll just have to see when the story drops. Anyway, 2.6 as a whole was a fine patch. I know some people appear quite upset with Wuwa's current storytelling choices, but I'm not, because I understand and trust the vision that they have as one writer to another. It's clear that they value short, intimate storytelling over an ensemble narrative unless it's used as an introduction to a region and its politics. Is it perfect? Is that style of storytelling perfect? Of course not. But I'm going to appreciate Wuthering Waves' story for what it is and what it can be. I want the Wuthering Waves story to be the best version of itself, and not take a hard pivot and become something similar to its contemporaries in the genre. Thanks for watching.